Hi guys, this is Julia from justonemorecard.com, and today I want to show you how easy it is to die cut a scene, well, a scene window, so to speak. I hope this will make sense in a moment. I'm using the Forest Friends stamp and the matching die set, and I'm going to start out with the dies. I have a small a panel here which is square, and I'm starting out with the fox. Now with this die cutting, it's the same as with masking when you're stamping. Whatever you die cut first is going to be in front. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So, I mean, in the end, you can stamp it whichever way you want, but whatever I die cut first will be in front, because that's going to be the complete shape. Now I'm grabbing my fox stamp here, and I'm using my Misty to line this up, and then I can stamp exactly through that opening onto my card base. You can see it worked perfectly. It took me a little while to line it up, I admit. It wasn't quite that quick. Then I fuzzy cut a mask. I fuzzy cut it so I would not have a border around this image. And now I can stamp the trees. It's basically the same method that I used for the fox. I lined the stamp up first, picked it up, and then I'm stamping it. I used to use the letterpress, but it's in storage, so that's why I'm that's why I bought the Misty. And so you can see how I'm stamping on top of the fox there, but that doesn't matter. Excuse me. Because that's where the mask is. And now I'm covering up this tree because I want to stamp this second tree, or other style tree, behind that tree. And you can see when I pull off these masks and I put them right on the acetate where my stamps are stored, so they won't get lost, because it took a while to fuzzy cut this. You can see the fox is up front, hides the trees a little bit, and then there's this one tree even furthermore in the background. So that's basically like regular masking that you would do. And now we have this little scene with the fox in the forest here, and I'm using my polychromos pencils to color this on craft. You could use any pencils that you have. Don't go out and buy specific pencils. Try whatever you have on hand with this. I'm always a fan of using whatever you have. Now with colored pencils, and I know this works best with the polychromos pencils and Prismacolor pencils because I use those as well. Work in layers. Start very, very light, apply almost no pressure at all, and then build up your colors with layers. And this is what I'm doing here. This is my second layer, and you can see that I'm blending. I have no problem at all blending between the different shades of red and brown because I use a very, very light hand. And only at the very end I will come in and actually apply a lot of pressure. So this is my white pencil here, and I'm just shading in this area. And now you can see that I put a lot of pressure on my pencil, and then I also get the really nice coverage of color. You can see how I'm working this here, how I'm blending this out. And it's completely different from like the previous layers that were just very light. But you need to build up the color a little bit. If you press down very hard immediately, you will flatten the paper. So it's always good to use paper that has a little bit of tooth when you're using colored pencils, because the tooth will actually hold the pigment from the pencils. And if you press down really hard immediately, you will basically flatten out that tooth, and you will not be able to work the different shades of color into each other, because that's only possible as long as there's still empty space where it can go. And if you flatten everything, then it's just one layer. You can't really layer up the color. I hope this makes sense. Just if you're using colored pencils and didn't have as much success with it so far as you would have liked to have, I really encourage you to try building up your color using several layers, starting with a very light hand and then building up, and you will see it makes a lot of a difference. I learned this, by the way, from the not the Copic coloring class, the pencil coloring class, Perfecting Pencils, over at Kate and Clouder, and I will link to them in the video description below. That's where I learned almost all my coloring skills. I'm taking their classes like crazy and trying to improve my skills. You can see I kept it very simple here. And then I put some foam tape on the back of this panel where I die cut this little scene first, just adhering it to my card base. And I, for once, did not forget to stamp the sentiment before I adhered the foam tape on the back. Yay! And then for some embellishment, I grabbed my white pencil, gel pen, actually, and I'm just drawing in some strings, and I'm trying to fake a bow. trying not to smear the pigment ink with my hand because I tend to do that. And then just drawing out these strings a little bit here, and then I'm faking a bow. It's just so there's a nice transition between that scene and the sentiment down there. And then I'm also adding some highlights to the trees. You don't have to do that, but it just gives it a more like gimmicky look. That's maybe the best description. So here's a close-up of the sentiment and these strings that I drew in with my white gel pen. Doesn't need to be straight, doesn't need to be perfect. This is a fun card, so I felt it was okay to do that. Here is the fox. Here's a view into that scene that I die cut through that panel. As you saw, it was super easy to do, really not hard. And in the end, I even added in some more darker shades where his body covered the tail, or cast a shadow on the tail just for some additional contrast. I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial and you will give your color pencils another look. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye bye.